You reach down to pet another dog, and suddenly, your Chihuahua appears. Not slowly, immediately. They push between you. They stare at your hand. They bark like something has gone wrong. Maybe they climb onto your lap. Maybe they press their tiny body against your chest. Maybe they look at the other dog like that dog just crossed a line. At first, it can look funny, maybe even cute. Your tiny Chihuahua acting like a little security guard, trying to protect their favorite person. But then you notice something. Their body does not always look playful. Their eyes may look tense. Their movements may feel urgent. Their bark may sound sharper than usual. And suddenly, the moment feels different. Not silly, not random, more emotional. Because it does not only happen with another dog. Maybe it happens when you hug someone. Maybe it happens when your partner sits close to you. Maybe it happens when a new baby gets your attention. Maybe it happens when another pet climbs into your lap. Or maybe it happens when you simply talk sweetly to someone else. Your Chihuahua notices. They move closer. They interrupt. They try to place themselves right back in the center of your world. And many owners ask the same question. Why does my Chihuahua get jealous so easily? But maybe the deeper question is not jealousy. Maybe the deeper question is fear. Not fear in a dramatic way. Not proof of trauma. Not proof of a broken heart. But a smaller, quieter fear. The fear that their place beside you is changing. The fear that your attention is moving away. The fear that the safest person in their world might not be fully theirs in that moment. Because to a Chihuahua, your attention may not feel casual. It may feel important. Your hand, your voice, your lap, your eyes. The way you look at them when they come close. These small things may be part of how they feel connected to you. So when that attention suddenly goes somewhere else, some Chihuahuas react fast. They do not sit back and wait. They rush in. They push. They bark. They try to bring you back. And from the outside, it looks like jealousy. But underneath that reaction, there may be something softer, something more vulnerable. A need to know they still matter. A need to feel chosen. A need to be close to the person who makes the world feel safe. So today, we are not going to shame this behavior. And we are not going to romanticize it either. We are going to look at what your Chihuahua may be showing you. What researchers suggest about jealous-like behavior in dogs, and why this tiny reaction may carry a much bigger message. Because your Chihuahua may not be asking you to love others less. They may simply be asking one quiet question. Am I still important to you? In the last video, we talked about something many Chihuahua owners know too well. The way your Chihuahua follows you everywhere. From room to room. From the sofa to the kitchen. From the kitchen to the bathroom door. Sometimes, even when you only stand up for a second. It can look clingy. It can look needy. It can even feel a little funny. Like your Chihuahua has appointed themselves as your tiny shadow. But as we talked about before, that behavior may not simply mean they are trying to bother you. It may be connected to safety, to attachment, to the comfort of knowing where you are. For many dogs, especially dogs deeply bonded to one person, the owner is not just someone who gives food. You are not just the person who opens the door, or fills the bowl, or gives treats. You may become the center of their emotional map, the place they check back with, the voice they listen for, the body they stay close to when the world feels too big. And for a Chihuahua, that can matter even more, because they are small. The world is loud. People move quickly. Other dogs are bigger. Furniture is taller. Even normal household movement can feel huge from their level. So being near you may help them feel steady. Your presence may tell them, in a simple way, that things are okay, that they are not alone, that they know where they belong. But today, we are going one layer deeper, because there is another side to this attachment. What happens when the person who feels like safety turns away? What happens when your Chihuahua sees your hand reaching for another dog? What happens when your voice becomes soft for someone else? What happens when your lap, the place they love most, is suddenly shared? That is when many owners see a different side of their Chihuahua. Not just following, not just watching, but interrupting, pushing in, barking, climbing, staring, trying to place themselves between you and whatever has your attention. And that is the moment many people say, "My Chihuahua is so jealous." But this is where we need to slow down, because jealousy is a human word, and we have to be careful when we use human words for dog behavior. Your Chihuahua may not experience jealousy exactly the way a person does. They may not be thinking a full human story. They may not be saying, "You love them more than me." We cannot know that, but we can observe something important. Your Chihuahua notices when your attention moves. They notice when your touch goes somewhere else. They notice when another person or animal enters the space that usually belongs to them. And sometimes, they respond as if that connection matters deeply. That is why this video is not just about jealousy. It is about attachment. It is about attention. It is about the tiny emotional signals your Chihuahua may be giving you before the bark, before the push, before the dramatic little entrance. Because the question is not only, why do they get jealous? The better question is, what does your attention mean to them? If your Chihuahua follows you everywhere, they may be trying to stay close to safety. But if your Chihuahua gets jealous when you give attention away, they may be trying to protect access to that safety. Not in a bad way, not in a selfish way, but in the only way they know how. By moving closer, by interrupting, by saying with their body, "Please do not forget I am here." And once you understand that, the behavior starts to look different. Still something to guide, still something to train gently, but no longer something to mock, no longer something to label as just drama. Because beneath the little bark, there may be a real need. A need for reassurance, a need for structure, a need to know that love does not disappear when your attention is shared. And in the next part, we are going to look closely at what this jealous behavior actually looks like. Because sometimes, jealousy is loud. Sometimes, it is obvious. But sometimes, your Chihuahua is showing it in ways many owners miss. Jealousy in a Chihuahua does not always look dramatic. Sometimes, it is loud. Sometimes, it is obvious. But sometimes, it is very quiet. Maybe you pet another dog, and within seconds, your Chihuahua appears. They squeeze between your hand and the other dog. They push their nose under your palm. They climb onto your leg, or they place one tiny paw on your arm, as if they are saying, "Look at me instead." Some Chihuahuas bark, a sharp little bark, a bark that feels urgent. Other Chihuahuas do not bark at all. They stare. They freeze. They watch your hand. They watch your face. They watch the other pet getting the attention they usually receive. And this is why many owners call it jealousy, because the behavior often appears when there is a social rival, another dog, another pet, a partner, a child, a visitor, sometimes even your phone. Your Chihuahua may not understand the phone, but they can notice what it takes from them. Your eyes, your voice, your hand, your stillness, your attention. So they may paw at you, climb onto your chest, push under your arm, or sit directly between you and the screen. Not because they understand technology, but because they understand attention. They understand when you are with them, and they notice when you suddenly feel less available. But here is the important part. We should not pretend we know every feeling inside them. Your Chihuahua cannot tell us, "I feel replaced." They cannot say, "This spot used to be mine." So we have to separate three things: what we can see, what science suggests, and what we gently interpret. What we can see is the behavior: pushing in, barking, pawing, staring, climbing, blocking, trying to interrupt. What we may interpret as softer. Your Chihuahua may be trying to protect connection. They may be trying to bring your attention back. They may be unsure where they belong in that moment. And sometimes, the behavior grows because it works. If they push in and you pick them up, they learn pushing in brings you back. If they bark and you look at them, they learn barking gets your attention. Not because they are manipulative, but because dogs learn from what works. So before we call your Chihuahua jealous, look at what they actually do. Do they bark? Do they stare? Do they climb? Do they push between you and someone else? Do they paw at your hand? Or do they simply move closer, as if they are trying to find their place again? Tell me your Chihuahua's name in the comments. And tell me what they do when they want your attention back. Because once we understand what the behavior looks like, we can ask the next question. What does science actually say about dogs and jealousy? So what does science actually say about dogs and jealousy? This is where we need to be careful, because we cannot read a dog's mind. We cannot say, your Chihuahua feels jealousy exactly like a human. That would be too much. But researchers have studied something very close. They have looked at what dogs do when their owner gives attention to a possible rival. And the results are interesting. In one well-known study, owners were asked to give attention to different things: a book, an object, and a stuffed dog that looked socially real. The dogs reacted more strongly when the owner gave attention to the dog-like rival. They pushed at their owners more. They pushed at the fake dog more. Some tried to get between them. Some even reacted with sharper behavior. That does not prove every dog feels jealousy in the same way humans do, but it does suggest something important. Dogs notice where our attention goes. And when that attention goes towards something that looks like another social being, some dogs try to interrupt. Researchers often call this jealous-like behavior. That phrase matters because it keeps us honest. It means the behavior looks like jealousy, but we are not pretending we know every private feeling behind it. Your Chihuahua cannot explain their emotion in words. They cannot say, "I feel replaced." They cannot say, "I am worried you love that dog more." So we look at the behavior, we look at the timing, we look at the trigger, and we ask, what might this reaction be trying to do? In many cases, the answer seems simple. Your Chihuahua may be trying to bring your attention back. They may be trying to move closer to you. They may be trying to interrupt a social moment that feels important. Later research has also explored this idea. Some studies suggest dogs may react not only to a visible rival, but also to the idea that their owner is interacting with a rival. Again, this does not mean dogs think exactly like people, but it does suggest that owner attention has real social value. Your hand is not just a hand. Your voice is not just sound. Your eye contact is not just eye contact. To your Chihuahua, these things may signal connection, safety, belonging. So when another dog receives them, your Chihuahua may react. Not always because they are angry, not always because they are trying to dominate, and not because they are bad. They may simply be responding to a change in access. Access to you, access to closeness, access to the person who helps them feel secure. And this is why the word jealousy can be useful, but also risky. It helps owners recognize the pattern, but it can also make us overhumanize the dog. So the safer way to say it is this: your Chihuahua may be showing jealous-like behavior. They may notice when your attention moves to someone else. They may try to get that attention back. And underneath that behavior, there may be insecurity. There may be attachment. There may be learned behavior. Or there may be simple confusion about what to do in that moment. That is why we should not shame them. But we should not ignore the behavior either. Because if pushing in always works, they may keep pushing. If barking always brings your eyes back, they may keep barking. If climbing onto your lap always ends your attention to another pet, they may learn that climbing is the answer. So science gives us a balanced message. Your Chihuahua's jealousy may not be just drama, but it is also not proof of a deep emotional wound. It is a behavior, a social reaction, a signal that your attention matters. And once we understand that, the next question becomes even more important. Why does this reaction often feel so intense in Chihuahuas? Because with this tiny breed, attention may not only feel nice, it may feel like safety. So why does jealousy often look so intense in Chihuahuas? Part of the answer may be their size. A Chihuahua lives close to the ground. People move above them. Doors open loudly. Feet pass quickly. Other dogs can look huge. Even a normal home can feel big from their level. So for many Chihuahuas, being close to their owner may feel important. Not just nice, important. Your lap may not only be a soft place. Your arms may not only be warm. Your voice may not only sound familiar. To your Chihuahua, these things may help the world feel safer. And when safety feels connected to one person, attention becomes powerful. That is the first reason. Attachment. Many Chihuahua owners notice that their dog chooses one favorite person. They follow that person, watch that person, sleep near that person, wait for that person. So when that person suddenly gives attention to someone else, the Chihuahua may react quickly, not because they are trying to be difficult, but because the center of their world just shifted. The second reason is attention as a resource. Dogs learn what matters. Food matters. Space matters. Rest matters. But social attention can matter too. Your hand, your praise, your eye contact, your lap. These are valuable. So when another dog receives them, your Chihuahua may try to get access again. They may push in. They may bark. They may paw at you. They may climb higher. From the outside, it looks like jealousy, but from a behavior point of view, it may also be a dog trying to regain something valuable. The third reason is small dog vulnerability. A Chihuahua cannot use size to feel safe. They cannot easily move through the world like a large dog. They may be picked up without warning, stepped around, moved aside, overwhelmed by noise or motion. So closeness to you may become their anchor. Your body becomes a shield. Your lap becomes a lookout point. Your presence becomes a place to return to. And when another pet or person enters that space, your Chihuahua may feel unsure. Where do they go now? Where is their place? Are they still included?
The fourth reason is learned behavior.
This part is important. Sometimes, jealousy grows because it works. Your Chihuahua pushes in. You laugh. You pick them up. You kiss their head. You say, "Oh, are you jealous?" And in that moment, they get exactly what they wanted. Your eyes, your hands, your voice, your attention. So the next time they feel left out, they may do it again. Not because they are sneaky, not because they are bad, but because dogs repeat behaviors that bring results. If barking brings you back, barking can become stronger. If pawing gets your hand, pawing can become a habit. If climbing into your lap ends the other interaction, climbing can become their strategy.
This is why we need compassion and structure.
Compassion helps us understand the feeling.
Structure helps us guide the behavior.
Because your Chihuahua does not need to learn. If I panic, I get love.
They need to learn, I can stay calm, and I still belong.
That is the healthier message. And it starts with how we see them, not as a jealous little troublemaker, not as a tiny dog trying to control the house, but as a small companion who may be very sensitive to connection, a dog who notices your attention, a dog who values your closeness, a dog who may feel unsettled when their safe place is suddenly shared. And this brings us to the deepest part of the story. The part behind the bark, behind the pushing, behind the little body trying to squeeze into your arms. What is the emotional wound behind it? And is it really a wound at all? So what is the emotional wound behind jealousy? This is the part we have to handle gently, because it may not be a wound from the past. It may not be trauma. It may not mean your Chihuahua was abandoned. And it does not mean something is broken inside them. Sometimes, the wound is much smaller than that. Quieter, softer, more ordinary. It may be the insecurity of not knowing where they stand. The feeling that their place beside you is not as certain as they thought. The feeling that your attention can suddenly move away. And for a Chihuahua who depends deeply on your closeness, that moment may feel very big. You pet another dog, and your Chihuahua moves in. You hug someone else, and your Chihuahua barks. Another pet climbs into your lap, and your Chihuahua suddenly needs to be there too. From the outside, it can look possessive. It can look dramatic. It can look like they are saying, "You are mine." But underneath, the message may be softer. Do I still matter? Is there still room for me? Am I still safe with you? Of course, your Chihuahua is not speaking those exact words. We should never pretend they are. But their behavior may point toward a need for reassurance, a need for closeness, a need to know that connection has not disappeared. This is why jealousy can feel so emotional to owners. Because when your Chihuahua pushes in, you may see more than a behavior. You may see a tiny dog trying not to be left out. You may see a little body asking to be chosen again. You may feel the tenderness behind the reaction. But tenderness does not mean we should reward every behavior. This is important. If your Chihuahua barks, pushes, or blocks another pet, they still need guidance. Love does not mean letting them control every interaction. And training does not mean ignoring their feelings. Both can be true. You can understand the insecurity and still teach calm behavior. You can comfort your Chihuahua and still help them wait. You can love them deeply and still show them that they do not need to compete. Because the real healing message is not, "I will only love you." It is, "You are safe, even when I love others too." That is a powerful lesson for a Chihuahua, especially one who reacts quickly when attention changes. They need to learn that your affection is not disappearing. Your hand touching another dog does not erase them. Your voice speaking to someone else does not reject them. Your lap being shared does not mean they have lost their place forever. They are still included. They are still seen. They still belong. And sometimes, that is what jealous behavior is really asking for. Not control, not drama, not punishment, but reassurance with boundaries, warmth with structure, love with calm direction. Because if your Chihuahua only hears love when they may panic more often. But if they learn that calmness also brings connection, their body can begin to relax. They can learn to wait. They can learn to watch. They can learn that another dog receiving attention does not mean they are being replaced. And that is where the emotional wound begins to soften. Not because we know every feeling inside them. Not because one video can explain every Chihuahua. But because understanding changes how we respond. Instead of saying, "Why are you so jealous?" we can ask, "What are you needing right now?" Instead of saying,
Stop being dramatic, we can say.
"I see you, but I will guide you." Instead of turning the moment into a fight, we can turn it into a lesson. A calm lesson. A gentle lesson. A lesson that says, "You do not have to fight for your place here." For many Chihuahuas, that may be the deepest comfort. Not constant attention. Not being picked up every time they demand it. But knowing that their bond with you is steady. Even when your attention moves. Even when someone else sits beside you. Even when another pet receives your hand. They are not forgotten. They are not pushed out. They are not replaced. They are still your Chihuahua. Still close. Still loved. Still part of your world. And once you see jealousy this way, your response becomes different. You do not have to shame them. You do not have to spoil them. You do not have to choose between love and discipline. You can give both. You can give reassurance, and you can give guidance. So how do you help a Chihuahua who is not trying to be bad? but maybe trying to feel secure. That is what we will talk about next. So how do you help a jealous Chihuahua?
But do not reward the reaction.
This balance matters. If your Chihuahua pushes in, barks, or climbs onto you, they may be trying to get your attention back. That does not make them bad.
But if that behavior works every time, it can become stronger.
So your job is not to punish the emotion.
Your job is to guide the behavior.
Start by staying calm. Your Chihuahua may already feel tense. If you raise your voice, move too quickly, or push them away harshly, the moment can feel even bigger. Instead, pause. Use a soft voice. Keep your body relaxed. Let them know you see them, but do not immediately give the reward they are demanding. If they push between you and another dog, gently create space. If they paw at your hand, wait for a calmer moment. If they bark for attention, avoid giving full attention during the bark. Then reward the pause, reward the quiet, reward the moment they sit, look away, or soften their body. This teaches something very important. Calm behavior still brings connection. They do not have to bark to be noticed. They do not have to push to belong. They do not have to compete for every piece of your love. You can also practice this before jealousy happens. Sit with your Chihuahua nearby. Pet another dog for 1 second. Then reward your Chihuahua for staying calm. Keep it short. Keep it gentle.
Do not force a big challenge too soon.
Your goal is not to make them watch you love another pet for 10 minutes. Your goal is to teach safety in tiny moments.
1 calm second, then 2, then 5. Slowly, your Chihuahua can learn.
I can stay relaxed, and I still get love.
Another helpful habit is giving them their own predictable attention. A few quiet minutes each day. No phone, no other pet, no distraction. Just you and your Chihuahua. This does not mean they own all your attention. It means they have a steady place in your routine. And steady routines can help sensitive dogs feel more secure. If your Chihuahua becomes jealous around guests, give them structure before people arrive. A comfortable bed, a safe spot, a chew, a calm cue they already know. Do not wait until they are overwhelmed. Help them before the reaction grows. If they become jealous around another pet, do not turn affection into a competition. Avoid pushing one dog away while praising the other too intensely. Instead, reward calmness from both. Let your Chihuahua see that another pet receiving attention does not erase them. There is still room. There is still safety. There is still connection. But there also need to be boundaries, because love without boundaries can create confusion. Your Chihuahua should not learn that barking controls your hands. They should not learn that pushing controls your lap. They should not learn that guarding you makes everyone move away. They need a kinder lesson. You are loved, and you can be calm. You belong, and you can wait. That is reassurance with boundaries. If the behavior is severe, sudden, or includes growling, snapping, biting, or repeated distress, it may be appropriate to consult a veterinarian or qualified behavior professional. Because sometimes behavior has more than one cause. Pain, stress, fear, household changes, or past learning can all play a role. But in everyday jealous moments, your response can teach your Chihuahua a softer truth. They do not need to fight for your attention. They do not need to panic when it moves. They can learn that love is not disappearing. It is still there, steady, quiet, waiting for them when they are calm. In the end, your Chihuahua's jealousy may not be as simple as it looks. It may not be just drama. It may not be bad behavior. And it may not mean they are trying to control everything around you. Sometimes, it may be a small dog reacting to a very big feeling. Your attention moved. Your hand reached somewhere else. Your lap became shared. Your voice softened for someone new. And your Chihuahua noticed. They noticed because you matter to them. Your closeness matters. Your touch matters. Your presence matters. You may be the person who makes the world feel safer. So when they push in, bark, stare, or climb onto you, try to look past the drama for a moment. not to excuse every behavior, but to understand it, because underneath that reaction, there may be a quiet question. Do I still belong here? Is there still room for me? Am I still important to you? Your Chihuahua cannot say those words, but their behavior may be asking for reassurance, and your response can become the answer. Not by giving in to every bark. Not by picking them up every time they demand it.
Not by letting them push everyone else away.
But by showing them something steadier. You are loved, you are safe, and you can be calm. That is the message they need. Because your Chihuahua may not be asking you to love others less. They may simply need to learn that your love for others does not erase your love for them. Another dog can receive your hand, and your Chihuahua still belongs. Another person can sit beside you, and your Chihuahua still matters. A new baby can need your attention, and your Chihuahua can still have a place in your world. Love does not have to become a competition. Attention can be shared. Closeness can be guided, and security can be taught gently, one calm moment at a time. So the next time your Chihuahua gets jealous, pause before you laugh. Pause before you scold. Pause before you call them dramatic. Look at the tiny body, trying to move closer. Look at the eyes, watching where your attention goes. Look at the little paws, reaching for connection. Then guide them with warmth, and guide them with boundaries. Because the goal is not to make your Chihuahua stop needing you. The goal is to help them feel secure enough not to fight for you. That is where trust grows. That is where calm begins. And that is where the emotional wound, if there is one, can begin to soften. If your Chihuahua gets jealous, what do they do first? Do they bark? Do they stare? Do they climb into your lap? Do they push between you and someone else? Tell me your Chihuahua's name in the comments, and tell me the moment when they get jealous the most, because sometimes the smallest dogs carry the biggest feelings, and when we understand those feelings with honesty, we do not just train better, we love better.